Alright, what's up guys? We've got Scrimcast coming at you again today. Figured I could time yesterday, might as well do it again today. And today is the day of the patch as well, so gonna be some interesting stuff going on. You can see that happening already as we got Solaire Club taking on Shrek is Love. So both these teams are going to be in gold next cycle. So Shrek is Love just got demoted after cycle 6, and they'll be spending cycle 7 back in the gold division. Potentially at some point taking on the Solaire Club, considering Solaire Club have improved consistently over the last couple of cycles, so wouldn't be surprised at all to see these two teams match up in the later stages of Gold Cycle 7. And just as that might be a preview, these drafts might be a preview of what we start to see as Cycle 7 kicks off as well. We've got a Monarch pick on the Hellborn side, and obviously there's a lot that's happened. This sort of managed to get in this as it was starting up, so I didn't have a lot of time to update my overlays, but looks like the first couple of bans were Ophelia and Cthulhuphant from Gisman. So Cthulhuphant once again getting taken out, apparently still respecting that hero pretty heavily. And Hellborn going to remove Dr. Pulsar and Pebble. So Swiftblade available, but not first picked, I don't think. Yeah, no, it was. Excuse me, it was swapped. So Legions are going to start out with Swiftblade, Chipper, Tempest, and Kraken. So Solaire Club, what a surprise, they're picking Kraken. We had a nice little conversation about Army of Ums on his Kraken, which, again, I don't think he's a bad player at all. I think he's a solid suicide player. I don't think he's a good Kraken, and I think he should stop playing Kraken maybe a little bit, considering how often he's played Kraken and how well it's worked out for him. I mean, if you're going to do it, Scrims are the place to do it, but it seems like that ship might have sailed. Anyway, the Hellborn side will counter with Valkyrie, Magnus, Monarch, and Parasite. Second stage of the bans were Pharaoh, Silhouette, and Ravener from Gisman, Kinesis, Midas, and Drunken Master being taken out by Cluck. So, no huge surprise. New Midas, apparently, is going to be popular. And somebody's offering to co-cast. But, oh well. Not worth dealing with at this point, as the game's already underway, and I can figure it out after this if I need somebody. I also may be not doing much more than just this game. I don't know yet. Either way, we're gonna finish this off with a Martyr pick. So again, a hero that has not been seen. So we got two heroes so far that haven't been seen in Diamond level play so far. I think I've seen Martyr once or twice in the Gold Division, but nothing significant. It's been mostly, you know, here and there, not really all that successful. I think he actually did have some potential before as possibly a suicide hero and a support hero, maybe even an initiator. I definitely wouldn't put him on a short lane role, but he's got some interesting abilities about him, and as a 4, 5, 3, maybe even 3 type role, you could see some potential, no doubt, and with some buffs to him since the patch, I think we could see some Martyr in the last couple of cycles of Diamond. And we will almost certainly see him in Gold Division, as there are more teams and more games, therefore a higher likelihood of that hero getting picked up. But waiting on the last pick, it's going to be the Puppet Master, so that's a familiar face at least. And Cluckmuck so far not switching up his draft all that much. We've got a Valkyrie and a PM and a Parasite and a Magnus here, so pretty damn greedy lineup from Ogre's side. None of those heroes are the really 500 to 550 GPM, I need that much farm in order to be successful type hero, but they do have a lot of heroes that are going to need 300 plus, and in most situations 400 plus. Magnus and Parasite don't really need 400 plus, but they become much more effective, obviously, as they start to get into that 350, 400 GPM range. So, wouldn't be surprised to see a pretty significant spread of farm on this Hellborn side, and we'll see how that affects Nox, who is known for, you know, just kind of sitting there and getting as much farm as he can on himself. Also, I am putting this as a 0-0. I don't actually know if these. I should ask. What's this series? Oh, worth consulting the teams. Yeah. All right. Good. Anyway, so this is in fact 1-0 or 0-0, and so both sides. I'm not sure. I don't know how much they've done since the patch came out. Obviously, it's been available for a little while now, and in Europe, it's been the daytime. Whereas for us U.S. people, it's been mostly, you know, early morning and stuff. So maybe people haven't been playing that much. The Euros might have a better approximation of what exactly is going on with the patch, at least in terms of an early look. And it does seem like Monarch is going to be a hero to watch out for. Obviously. Okay. So that'd be good. BO3. Wouldn't mind that at all. She did take a number of changes. So let's go over that really quickly. The Noxious Nightcrawler now drops a ward, essentially. If you don't hit anybody with it, so essentially you cast it, it jumps a certain distance away, and when it reaches its destination, it becomes a ward. And if somebody gets close to it, it explodes into a Noxious Cloud. And I'm actually interested to see how many people use this as a ward. That's obviously going to be very popular and a powerful ability of it, but I wouldn't be surprised if people set up a bunch of them as like a trap and then have somebody else blow a whole bunch of noxious clouds at the same time. Sort of like engineer mines, but with a slow effect and more damage over time as opposed to burst damage. I don't actually know what the mana cost is on it, so that may or may not be feasible for a potentially low mana support, especially in the early game, but it's possible. Feels like that could be an interesting strategy. Chrysalis also did get a slight rework, as it's more of a stopping damage quickly and then not making you sit in the Chrysalis forever type thing. So probably going to be more powerful in the early game and in the laning phase. According to Waza, who is obviously one of the lead balance designers over at S2, it's been in SBT. It's been much more of a Monarch in a lane means that the other hero in the lane can't die, more or less, which is interesting. Where do animals go when their tails fall off? Retail store. I get it. Alright. Anyway. Waiting on Army of Mumps to come back here on his signature hero, Kraken, which we've discussed several times. We're going to get into it. As Martyr, other hero that was slightly reworked here, and I think definitely more of a support option at this point. His ultimate does allow you to switch, or something allows you to switch your health and mana. You know what? This doesn't give me all enough information, so I'm not super up on exactly what everything does. So let's see. If you target an enemy, you set yours and self. So enemy targeting is important. You can set yours and your target's health percentage equal to the lower of the two. You can only take an enemy to a minimum thing, etc. Retribution does pretty much the same thing, it seems like, except it's an AoE now. And Guardian Angel, more or less the same. Soul's Conviction, there you go. Activate to swap your current health and mana percentages over 6, 5, 4, 3 seconds. Passively grants you additional health regeneration as your health gets lower. So that's pretty interesting to me, actually, and I feel like it potentially is something that could give him a ton of suicide potential, because if you level up Soul's Conviction, the more damage you take, the harder it is going to be to finish you off. That's going to increase your retribution damage, and of course, if you get significantly low, you can swap your health and mana pools. So it's basically going to allow him to use, 568 health times 2 if he keeps his mana up, and that's considerably more powerful than a health pot. The other thing it's going to allow him to do is keep his mana up with health potions, because obviously mana potions take 20 seconds to tick, they take a longer time to go through, and so if you health pot with a low mana pool, then switch, you get your mana back, and then you get health pot again, and well, but in that case, then that will still take 20 seconds. That wouldn't be good. So, right. So since your mana pool is lower, it's better to do that with mana pots, because then you get your health and mana low, and then you can mana pot up, and it'll cost you 50 gold to go to like 100% mana, and then you can swap again, and then get back to 100 to full health. That's okay. I think that's where we're probably going with it. It requires you to be out of combat for a pretty significant period of time, but it would essentially work as a low gold cost health potion. It takes a little bit longer, but it's interesting. Interesting idea. And of course, that entire time you'd be regenerating health at an accelerated rate, thanks to the additional bonuses you get. And then looks like Valkyrie could be in some trouble here. She's getting caught out by Tempest and Army of Stanmarch, on the Martyr. as they're trying to interrupt this Tempest jungle a little bit. Looks like Parasite will be coming to the aggressive jungle here, and this far left camp is blocked out. I believe that was done intentionally by the Legion team in order to prevent Parasite from being able to take it. Obviously, Tempest not a huge fan of taking the hard camps particularly early. He will jungle in the medium camp in the woods here, and it could do some pretty significant damage to Parasite actually as he's walking on by. Nice body blocks going through, and Parasite pretty damn low at this point, actually not going to find another creep, and if there was rotation from Ganondorf on this Swiftblade, I think they probably could have killed him. Instead they're going to drop the Swiftblade spin on the Valkyrie. Valkyrie currently has Javelin as opposed to Leap, which means that she's going to be forced to take a health bot here. She did bring a ton of regen to this lane though, and she still has another health potion and 2 more tangos, so the Suicide Valkyrie going a little bit aggressive with the initial Javelin of Light build, but using the items to make up for that to some extent. She figures I don't need to leap if I can just leave and then increase my health once I get away. So wouldn't be surprised if Swiftblade has a pretty solid time in this bottom lane, spinning on top of Valkyrie when she gets too close, and of course Valkyrie going to have to go up against this Martyr and deal with his potential retribution damage, and she has to be real careful about how she plays this. Martyr needs to, not die also, because he doesn't have Soul's Conviction yet. He's going to put the slow down, and actually that did not do a particularly large amount of damage, so I believe that's the difference. It's really not going to hurt all that hard now, but Martyr still doing a pretty solid job at boxing out this Valkyrie, and of course Valkyrie not super interested in continuing to burn all of her regen. She has 1 more tree and a health potion, but she might need to take that health potion here. Yep, and that's going to leave her down just to a tree. It's going to be a bit of a problem, so Stand March pretty successfully blocking out this Valk and keeping her low. And as you can see, she's now trying to run away. Another mana pot being taken by Martyr, and Valkyrie apparently doesn't want to cancel that. She's going to have Retribution up, but it's going to be a while. Actually, that's Bloodlust. So Swiftblade with the additional base movement speed, 355 you see with the boots, which means he's at 305 base move speed, able to outrun the Valkyrie pretty damn easily. Boots obviously being a bigger factor in that, but Swiftblade spin, still pretty damn powerful, and despite the nerfs, looks like Swiftblade's still going to be a good hero. Top lane Army of Mums going down as a result of the Parasite and Monarch gank, so Kraken dying once again. Let's just leave that where it is. As a nice gank from Cluckmuck comes to the top lane. And we haven't talked about that lane at all, but currently Nox is at 350 GPM, Kraken just at 140, so definitely not having a great time at all. Sarah having a worse time on that Suicide Valkyrie, but no doubt things going pretty well for Nox in this top lane. He's actually the 2nd highest farmer in the game, behind that Swiftblade. And Magnus, the 3rd highest farmer in the middle lane as a result of that Magnus Monarch mid. And as far as lanes go and reworks go, I'm actually not a huge fan of this. Again, this is a scrim, so if you're going to experiment with stuff, go for it. This is the place to do it. But I feel like Magnus Monarch is a little bit of an iffy lane. Magnus doesn't really need a defensive support in lane to help him survive against Chipper. There's more or less no way Chipper can kill him unless Magnus gets excessively aggressive or misplays. With the Lava Surge and the Steam Bath, it basically means that he's just not going to die. So having Monarch here really does very little. If it's an offensive support, obviously that makes a ton of sense. Adding stuns, adding damage on top of Magnus's Lava Surge and his Steam Bath and his Volcanic Touch, etc. That's great. But Monarch, maybe not so much. So I'd like to see Monarch perhaps go bottom even and put that into a dual lane, long lane. He does seem to be playing more of a farm or roaming role, excuse me, as he's only level 2, so really not doing all that well in terms of levels. You can see him moving between lanes pretty consistently. And maybe that's their thinking, that this Monarch is best utilized in that role, but I also don't agree with that. I feel like it should be a static babysit support. And if you get a really hard carry, and you want to make sure they don't die, especially if they have a good chance of getting aggressed, then you pick a Monarch, and you keep them alive. Other thing, up here, Noxious Nightcrawler Ward. So, that's that. I don't remember how to switch the camera angle, so I can't actually see it, but you can see in the little mini-map we got the square instead of a ward side. So, alrighty, vision for the Hellborn side is pretty solid, and I have the ward up there and a ward down here spot in the rune. Legion team have 2 wards as well. Ward seeing the bottom rune, as well as one in the top lane, which actually be countered right now as Parasite finds it. Army of Mum's trying to keep himself safe, and he's going to have a lot more time, or a lot more difficulty staying alive in this lane as a result. So we'll see, but right off the bat, looks like Shrek is low, taking a pretty solid gold and experience, or gold advantage. Their experience is a little bit lower. And I'm really curious to see how Monarch is able to keep vision up. Is she just not going to buy any wards at all and only use the Nightcrawlers? Is she going to buy wards and use Nightcrawlers and give her team a ludicrous amount of vision? I don't know. I'd kind of prefer the former route. I feel like if she can do a better job of saving her money, she can be more impactful in this game and still keep vision up. Meanwhile, bottom lane, looks like Valkyrie could be in some trouble. She leaps away, but Swiftblade not going to chase. By the way, Swiftblade going for the Alchemist bones. So that's going to be a 6.5 minute Alchemist bones because he's at 4 minutes in. And arrow going to be dodged. Nice dodge from Tempest as they're coming in. Looking to perhaps push this bottom tier 1 tower. And Alchemist bones still being delivered in the courier. It's taking forever to get over here, but he will finally pick that up. That's obviously in response to the Parasite. So presuming the Parasite's going to pick up a puzzle box, he wants the Alchemist bones to be able to cancel one of the Parasite puzzle box minions. Obviously Tempest could potentially cancel the other one if his positioning is sufficient. And so Slash is there as Masera just dies. And also have a Splin going on to the Monarch, and Monarch's going to be dead as well.
Too easy.
So coordination from Ogre right there, not particularly great. And we have a nice start for Ganondorf here on the Swiftblade 460 GPM. And this is where things get a little bit concerning for the Hellborn team, because as I said in the early game, they do have a number of heroes that need at least decent farm. Tempest Hole going to be coming out on top of the Valkyrie. Will they have enough damage to lock her down before she can get the leave off? Yes, they will. They're bringing 3 ports in, though. Monarch, the first one, puts the Crippling Pollen onto Tempest, but actually she's doing a lot of damage as the Elementals kill her. Puppet Master trying to do something on this Tempest as well, but that's not going to happen. And a very, very nice engagement here for Solaire Club, as they're trying to kill this Tempest with the Puppet Master ultimate, and they finally will do so. Noob McNoob unable to get out of there before he was CC'd and killed, so yeah, that was really interesting. I'm not really sure why he didn't just leave earlier. He had the Puppet ultimate on him for a very long time, but all the creeps in the middle of that thing, perhaps he couldn't tell. I couldn't even see it, so maybe this just is this current alt avatar, but whatever the problem is, that was definitely a strange engagement. So, at least Hellborn getting a kill out of that, but the Legion team's still up 5-2, and it seems like they're utilizing this new patch perhaps a little bit better than the Hellborn side is, still realizing how powerful Swiftblade is. Be like, look, you ain't gonna ban that, we gotta take it. But more importantly, we got the Denver Pro currently at 205 GPM. I keep messing up that first number, don't I? And he's just not having a particularly impactful game right now. He's 1-0-0. As we're approaching 9 minutes in, really hasn't ganked all that much. Obviously, the Word of Sight in the top lane didn't help, but in the mid we had a Chipper who's relatively stable. Difficult for him to get out of engagements, going up a Magmus and a roaming Monarch. Feels like there could have been more ganks that were set up in the middle lane with the assistance of that Parasite, and perhaps his camps just weren't all that good. I don't know what the problem was, but definitely didn't seem to have the type of impact you'd like to see from a Parasite. You know, a huge part of his value is the early game offense, and haven't seen too much of that so far. He does have Ghost Marchers and a Blood Chalice, but still not really anywhere close to his puzzle box, presuming that is what he's going to get. Meanwhile, top lane is where things go down as Army of Mums falls. Once again, Denver Pro finally getting active. Parasite saying, alright, you want to yell at me for not for not doing something? I'll go get a kill then. But it looked like Swiftblade was trying to get a little bit aggressive on the Valkyrie as well. Swift slashes are available, as well as the spin. Got full mana and full health. Middle lane meantime, Denver Pro does actually die, as he's for some reason behind the tier 1 tower in middle lane, and I'm completely missing half of the crap that's going on. So that's always good. It's a scrim for me too. Working on camera work apparently. It varies. Some games I catch everything and I watch from the beginning and I just like know where all the kills are going to happen. In some games I'm like, what? What? I don't know. Anywho, 10 minutes in here or so, and Solaire Club's lead has diminished a fair bit as a result of that Kraken kill, despite getting a Parasite in the middle lane. So, Noxious Nightcrawler Ward. Interesting. It's like a little, like an ant mound. That's what it looks like. That's kind of creepy. Alright. Not bad. Alright, is this going to break when he gets near it? Or, no, it goes invisible, right? Okay, it does break, yeah. And it really doesn't do very much damage at all. I don't know what the slowing effect is, but that did like 50 damage over the course of about 3 or 4 seconds. That wasn't great. Noxious Nightcrawler is at level 1, is that why? Yeah, it's level 1. So presumably it'll do more damage as Clock continues to level it up. But not bad. Able to break the ward right there, and actually that's the sort of situation where you might want to put a regular ward, because it's conceivable that a hero could walk past it and break the ward before it actually does anything. So I would imagine up on the cliffs, better places, so you know, where this current Word of Sight is from Sandmarch, as well as obviously the upper cliff area here. And Top Rune is a good place. Over here earlier where Cluck had it, that's a solid place. Nobody's going to be walking nearby there anytime. Down where he's actually got a Word of Sight on the shrine here wouldn't be a bad position either. And obviously stuff like deep wards over here and up here, as well as down here in the Legion Woods. I would guess those are probably going to be slightly better Noxious Nightcrawler ward positions, because like I said, it's not going to be run into by accident. I'm going to allow you to put other wards in better places. So, oh, somebody has a new ward skin, it looks like? No, that's the Rhapsody one. Sorry, there were 2 new word skins released for Hanukkah and for Christmas this patch. So. Good stuff. I'm perfectly happy with my Ursa stuff personally, but hey. And Army Mums on this Kraken is going to be very much dead. And there goes his Puppet ultimate, and he's actually finally going to start to attack it, and there it goes. Yeah, we'll see if Swiftblade can get a counter kill. Parasite will put the leech down and run away, so despite the use of the Kraken ultimate, Army of Mums taking another death here. He is 0-3-1, 155 GPM. Once again, suffering a lot on this Kraken. And don't do that. Don't turn into twitch.tv/Hancast and check out I Did You're the designer of Calamity talking about the newest hero added to Haunt. Don't do that. Stay here, please. I need you. Anyway, Valkyrie is going to be sending some illusions out, and she has Ghost Marchers here. So speaking of the other Suicide hero, has Ghost Marchers along with an Iron Shield. Not 660 gold saved up, so interested to see what she's going to be going for. I wouldn't be surprised with something like a Nullfire Blade, trying to burn some mana, slow some people down, purge some stuff, especially those Glacial Blasts and the various slows and such on the Legion team. Wouldn't be opposed to that at all. I feel like if she tries to go for anything that's substantially more cost necessary, like if she needs to have more money to farm it, because Jesus Christ, that was a terrible way of explaining what I was trying to say, but you get what I'm talking about. She's just not going to get it. Like, I don't think she's going to get a Firebrand, or not a Firebrand, but like a Frostburn. She can get a Firebrand, she can't really get a Frostburn. I don't know if she can even get she won't get close to Dawnbring, I wouldn't imagine. So she's probably going to have to keep her sights low in terms of the item progression. I wouldn't be surprised to see a push book, to be honest, although I think that's probably better on Magnus, and I would expect it to be seen more on Magnus, as currently he has 370 GPM and a portal key, which is some pretty decent timing, so I'm going to try to make use of that, I would imagine, but the Word of Sight is going to spot him, and if they check his inventory, they're going to realize he does have that PK, so the initiation potential now from the Hellborn side is pretty substantial, as Puppetmaster went for the Shroud for his first item on top of the, or before the Whispering Helm even, which he just picked up. As we saw that top gank, and once again, Puppet and a jump on top of the Kraken. Kraken made a lot of trouble. He's going to look for the charge away. There's the release of Kraken with the counter Astrolite Tempest with a 2-man hole, and that's going to give them vision despite the use of the Valkyrie Ultimate Chipper Saw Blades on top of that, as well as Dust and Revelation. Magma's going to jump away though, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's fine. Probably going to try to port away. Do they have anything to stop it? Yes, they do, and they managed to kill him. So ends up being a 1-for-1. Pretty solid trade there for the Legion side. Rocket does hit on the Magmas, but I don't think they have enough to chase him down unless he walks into another arrow or a rocket, and no, he does not, so things are going to be fine. Ends up being a 1-for-1, but that does go in favor of the Legion team. Meantime, they did lose their 2-run in mid, so that's not the greatest, but going to perhaps try to push top. Magma's looking for initiation, will find Chipper with the Lava Surge, has to be a little bit careful though. There's the face hugger that's going to stop him, and the rest of the Legion's Hellborn side is their arrow in the face, and Justman is going to die in that Chipper. Tempest now could be in some trouble. Going to spawn Elementus once again, figuring perhaps that he's going to die, but I don't know why. His team's coming in, and that's why. Trying to turn this, and the Hellborn side sort of realizes he's getting a little bit too aggressive for how this is going, and maybe it's not a great position for us to be in. realize that pretty quickly, and they back off. Obviously, the Ward of Sight down here probably providing most of that information. So, well played there by Ogre, and that's actually going to put them back into a gold lead and an experience lead. So, 3,600 gold up, 21 or 1,200 experience, not bad. Once again, Cluck placing Nightcrawlers in weird positions. It's like, if you walk past that, it's going to break, so by the time you get any use out of it, it's just going to be expiring. I mean, like, once it's done its job, it's going to explode, and then it's not going to do anything. So I really feel like, if you want a ward in that specific place, you should be using regular wards, and if you want a ward in, you know, cliffs and stuff like that, then you should be using Nightcrawlers. I don't know. Little bit iffy to me in terms of his positioning on those. Do you see triple stacked Ancients here? And Invis Rune not taken by Cluck. It's going to put a Nightcrawler there, but it's already on top of a Ward of Rev. And so it's going to be spotted out immediately. There's triple stacked Ancients being taken here, and they're going to see the Ward, the Monarch with the Courier. Let's see if they can do anything on this about this on the Legion side. Invis Rune, of course, on Kraken. Arrow gets eaten. He walks into it. I don't know if that was intentionally eaten for Swiftblade, or if he just happened to do that by accident, but I would imagine he ate it on purpose. There was a Ward of Sight there. They probably saw it coming in. So, tripled Ancients being taken by Cannondorf there. He is now at 470 GPM. Nox has taken over the gold lead, though. 490 for him, 500. And obviously that Noxious Nightcrawler immediately countered. Another Ward of Sight being placed in the lane, so that's much better. Nightcrawler there would be basically immediately broken once the creep wave or any hero walks even close to it. And currently, vision overall does favor Legion side. In fact, despite the use of the Monarch, you get a Ward of Sight here, you got one in the middle river as well down there, and a lane ward in the bot, spotting out the Legion woods. So, stand march on the Monarch, trying to protect his carry and his junglers, try to get them some farm, some safe farm. One thing that they do need to start doing, I think, a little bit more is prioritizing the farm on Army of Mums. He needs a portal key, he needs it soon. He's only at 350 GP, or 350 gold saved up, excuse me. Puppet Master going to run into Stand March here. Noxious Nightcloud will hit him, and boy, is Stand March dead. Face out goes through onto Kraken, as well as the Puzzle Box. Air going to not hit as they dodge it pretty successfully. Puzzle Box minions looking for something else, but they're not going to find it. And that'll be the end of that engagement as they get a free pick onto the Martyr. Puppet Master running around becoming a nuisance, and that's going to open up the map for Masera, and we've already seen that happen pretty damn well as he's up to 280 GPM. So this is more or less exactly how you would want to play this lineup, I think, on the Hellborn team. You got a gank squad in Magmus, Puppet, and Parasite. You don't have to bring all of them to every single fight, but obviously it's helpful. And Tempest sort of being alerted to the presence of some Legion heroes by that Puzzle Box minion, which then despawns. So Magmus unable to get the initiation. And he will get a crap ton of creep kills, though, so thanks to Tempest for giving him a bunch of volcanic touch procs. And Arrow going to be faked here a little bit. And Eruption's going through, and that will be right on top of Cannondorf. Face Hug goes through as well. Tempest's going to look for something to counter. Hole will be going on to one hero only as Parasite gets locked down, and he will be killed. Yes! The Saw Blades go through. A nice leap from Valkyrie through the trees. And despite the attempt from Monarch to get him out with Cleansing Wind, Parasite ends up getting traded for Swiftblade, which is definitely not a bad trade at all. And they also get a tier 2 top out of it as Nox pushes that in on Puppet Master. So some pretty good stuff going the way of Ogre at this point. Perhaps a little bit better at executing their lineup here, as I really do like the gank presence from these heroes that allows Valkyrie to recover from her pretty terrible early farm, and looks like now she can perhaps go for some more expensive items. She currently has Ghost Marchers on top of the Energizer, which is an interaction I'm not a huge fan of. I feel like you don't need both, but she wants the mobility, and on top of the leap, that should give her haste movement speed when she wants it. So, things generally looking pretty good here for Shrek is Love, and I think Cannondorf on the Solaire Club team is going to need to make some pretty serious plays because he's not going to get too much help from the rest of his team. Chipper at 200 GPM, Army of Mums at 170, and really the only one that's farming even decently is Tempest at 365 gold per minute, so The two of them are going to have to make some pretty amazing plays if they want to come back in this game, because they're going to be going up against essentially a quad core of heroes and two late game options in both Valkyrie and Puppet Master, neither of which I think are harder carries than Switchblade. Well, maybe Valkyrie is if they're completely 6-slotted, but I kind of doubt it. Anyway, Puppet Master going to open up on top of this Tempest. That should be a pretty easy kill. No! It's not going to be because of the bait. So, bad stuff there from Nox, getting real deep in there, and boy was that baited hard. And that's going to turn into a top tier 1 tower push by the Legion team. Hellborn, in the meantime, are pushing the bot tier 1, and we got Kraken down here. Perhaps looking to set something up. Lava Surge is used. He's going to need some TPs if he wants to actually help anything. Stanmarks, in the meantime, gets picked off in the top river by the Valkyrie and Parasite combination. And now they're going to know that Kraken's here. A couple of ports being drawn, as well as the glyph, and it looks like that'll be it. No, Tempest looking to run forward, but portal keys and lava surges, and it's really hard to catch that Magnus, so this is what happens when Kraken does not have a portal key. Actually, they lose the tower. They didn't even deny it, so that sucks. But anyway, this is why you need Kraken PK, because if he had a PK, he could sit in the woods and initiate when the TPs came in, and he wouldn't have to wait. Anyway, Valkyrie Prism going to be used in the bottom lane. They're looking to try to pick up the Chipper. Excellent 5-second arrow on the Tempest. Release Kraken is going to stop the Magnus ultimate. They already have Noob dead. Looks like Chipper is going to be in a lot of trouble as well. He's trying to get this Magnus counter kill, and he will do so as Army of Bombs hits the charge. Parasite going to be coming through with the facehug. Here comes Cannondorf on the Switchblade, but he's not going to be up 1 versus 3. Tries to get Cluck in the background, but now he's going to quickly realize doesn't want any more part of this. His Swift Slashes are down, and that'll be the end of the engagement, more or less, as the Legion side have to back off, and Hellborn really can't chase past the tier 2 tower. So another engagement going away of Cluck and friends, and currently have 300 plus GPM on all 4 of the cores, which is exactly where you want to be, and 3 of the 4 have 350 plus gold per minute, so that's even more where that's pretty much ideal, I think, right now. The current gold distribution is maybe a little bit more on Valkyrie, maybe a little bit less on Magnus, and maybe a little bit more on Parasites, and maybe a little bit less on Magnus. I think if the 3 of those heroes were a little bit more equal, their optimization might be closer to perfect, but as it stands right now, this is more or less where you want to be if you're the guys on Shrek is Love in terms of your GPM and your GPM distribution. You know, for Solaire Club, not so much. And let's see Cannondorf taking out Ancients once again. He's trying to keep his 500 GPM up, trying to compete with Nox on that Puppet Master. He's currently the top farm of the game, of course. And see if this gank squad can do anything. The puzzle box minion will be killed immediately by Cannondorf using that hand of money. Mauler actually explodes on its own. Middle lane, Puppet Master looking to back this off. There goes Tempest with the Dust of Revelation, gets the Glacial Blast down as well. They have some rockets coming through, actually all of them hit on the Puppet Master, so he takes a fair bit of damage from Jisman on that Chipper, but there goes an arrow onto Stanmarch. Here we see an eruption excellently placed onto everybody. Stanmarch dead, despite the focus buffer. Looks like Army Bomb wants something here, but he's going to have the Puppet ultimate on top of it, and now he's dead. Ends up being a nice 2-man Tempest ult, but he gets killed out of it very, very easily, and they're going to be able to finish off Jisman on that Chipper as well. Now it looks like
has gone kinetic.
Cannondorf going to be the only one to survive so far. He's trying to run away. Arrow is going to be solidly placed. It's going to be forcing him to run back as well. Leech comes through from Parasite. He's got the Swift Slashes down, but it's not going to be enough damage. Parasite Puzzle Box is there as well as the Hellflower, and the Cornerstone Falling will lock him down and get the kill. So Stanmarch respawning before he died, and that means it's not going to technically be a genocide, but we'll give them credit for it. It's a genocide for this Hellborn team, and perhaps this might turn into a top tower push, as the creeps are already pretty well up here and doing a fair bit to this tower. Stanmarch on this Martyr might need to be a little bit careful. Puppet Master coming with the Shroud, obviously he's going to be seen, but yep, there we go, and boy does he get wrecked. That's not pretty. So this top tower will be heavily pressured, but it won't be killed, and it looks like the rest of the guys on Shrek is Love are going to back off, as the respawns are happening from the Legion team. Still got 3 up. So, no real ability to push into these towers, but Kongor definitely an option, I think, at this point, with another 20 seconds dead on Swiftblade. They have the heroes to take it. They got Valkyrie Arrow, and some pretty solid damage coming out from their various cores. And that would be I would prefer them to take Kong, but it doesn't look like that's what's going to happen. Instead, they will back off, farm out the Legion Woods, try to take some resources away from their opponents, which is definitely a solid decision as well. I don't think it's quite as good, but it's fine. Valkyrie going for the Lightning, actually, which is a bit of an iffy pickup in my opinion. We're going to have multiple portal keys on this Legion team. Kraken, about 100 gold away from his, and when that starts to happen, Valkyrie is going to have some issues staying alive in these fights. She's got 1,200 health, and I wouldn't imagine too much armor. Currently 10.5 armor, 5.5 magic armor. She did in fact go for the push book, so that's a little bit surprising to me. I'm not surprised they have 2, but they actually have 3. Holy crap. I don't think 3 is necessary. With the Tempest Hole and the Kraken, I think you want at least a couple. 3 actually isn't terrible. I love push books, so not the worst at all. But yeah, I guess you could justify 3. I think 2 might have been a little bit better. I don't really think Valkyrie needs one all that much. Having one on Monarch and Magnus is probably sufficient. And if you really want 3, maybe get it later. Give Valkyrie something more valuable for her. If she has this much money, and she does, she's at 360 GPM, which is quite solid in fact. I would prefer to see the Frostburn as opposed to the Thunderclaw. They do have a fair bit of lockdown on this team that I think adding some slowing would be very helpful.
Target eliminated.
And of course, it'd give her some more survivability, some more attack speed, some more some more movement speed, etc. Damage, always a solid item in general at Frostburn. So Kongor eventually does go down there, of course, and no huge surprise, token on Puppet Master. Looks like Parasite going to try to push this bottom tower, as we have 2 tier 2s remaining for the Legion team. And that's much more where I'd like to see those Noxious Nightcrawlers go. On top of that cliff. Parasite going to do some pretty serious damage to this tower, and it looks like, obviously you can see those cannon fire things doing a bunch, and obviously level 4 of Infest, he does not gain health anymore, so he will eventually be forced out of this catapult, as opposed to the previous iteration of Parasite, which was, you can just stay in a catapult forever if you want to. So, the fact that he's taking tower hits right there is of no small consequence. It will eventually be a tier 2 tower in the bottom lane. Looks like they'll be looking to push base here, as we've got Nox on that token. He's currently got a Hellflower on top of Helm, and Shroud Valkyrie pretty damn close to her charged hammer if that's what she wants to go for, which would be interesting. Genjuro actually finished up on Nox, so that I'm a little less a fan of. In this type of situation in particular, I really don't think he needs double invis. They've clearly shown their proclivity for buying Revelation. I'll be back in a second, guys. Alright, sorry about that. Had to answer a question really quickly. Anyway, it looks like Monarch throwing up a ward up there. I don't know if they actually saw that. They might have, but yeah, they did. So we're looking on top of it, getting rid of it. Meanwhile, though, Kendorf can get jumped. Actually, no, it's going to be a counter jump here onto Nox, and he's going to lose the token right there. Eruption doing a lot of damage, though. Noob's dead before he can really get an effective ultimate off. He did get an ultimate off, but it really didn't do all that much. And Stand Mark to the Martyr also falling. Crystal is going to go down and save some damage. Nox still in some damage. Oh, nope, he's not actually in any danger at all. And that's going to be 4 heroes in a Legion side and a Concede, yeah. So, not really a huge surprise, as they eventually decide, really not our game. And in the end, looks like we are going to be going to a game 2, but Shrek is Love, basically, I think, they didn't really have that superior draft. It came down to the fact that it was mostly Swiftblade and Tempest against the world. As you look at the Hellborn side's GPMs, we have 400 plus on 4 heroes, and 600 nearly on Nox. And you look at the Legion side's GPMs, 320 for Noob, 455 for Cannondorf. Neither of those bad for him by any means, but nobody else did anything really. Jismin, 177 gold per minute, Kraken, 165, and obviously Sam Martin, 160. Wouldn't really expect too much from him, but either way, not the greatest performance, I think, from the 3 through 5 positions on the Legion team, and we'll have to do a little bit better in Game 2 if they want to even this series up. So we'll be going into that, hopefully in just a few moments, but for the time being, That's game one, going to Shrek is Love, and we'll be back in a short while.